Elizabeth Vargas in New York. My co-anchor Bob Woodruff and his cameraman Doug Vogt are showing signs of improvement from bomb injuries. The astonishing medical relay that helped save their lives. Terror message. Osama bin Laden's deputy taunts President Bush and threatens new attacks. I am among the Muslim masses, he says. Judgment Day. The Enron trial opens. The fraud was spectacular. The difficulty holding top executives responsible. We'll take a closer look. Smuggling tunnels inside the secret underground passage that brought illegal immigrants and drugs across the border. Why did it take so long to detect? And messages of hope, consolation in the computer age.
From ABC News, this is World News Tonight with Bob Woodruff and Elizabeth Vargas.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the aftermath of violence in Iraq, and this time the story is one we are feeling personally at ABC News because it involves two of our ABC colleagues, my co-anchor Bob Woodruff and our cameraman Doug Vogt. They are showing signs of improvement after suffering serious head injuries in a roadside bombing. Bob and Doug were with a U.S. Iraqi patrol near Taji, near Baghdad, when the bomb detonated. They were evacuated by helicopter, reaching a hospital in Baghdad's green zone 37 minutes after the blast. They were whisked by helicopter again to the U.S. military hospital in Balad, where they underwent surgery. Then they were flown to the American military hospital in Landstuhl, Germany. Total elapsed time, less than 23 hours from the attack. Bob and Doug still face a long road of recovery ahead, and ABC's Jim Sciutto joins us now live from Landstuhl, Germany, with more on their condition. Good evening, Jim.
Good evening, Elizabeth. There were some positive signs today. Bob responded to stimuli in his hands and feet and briefly opened his eyes. I was able to meet and speak with Doug. He was awake and alert and joking, and I can tell you that gave us a chance to smile today.
Tonight, Bob and Doug are resting here at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center. It is the largest American hospital outside the U.S., with immense experience treating and saving more than 5,000 combat wounded from Iraq and Afghanistan. Tonight, Bob's brother, Dave Woodruff, told us Bob arrived here in serious condition, but that his doctors say he's stabilized very well.
Having seen him, we think he's going to, recover eventually. It's going to be a long road, but I think he's a strong guy and he's going to make it. He's going to do well, and I think the care he's gotten has been just world class so far. So with that, I think we feel pretty good about it.
Their treatment is a constant process of reassessment, using the most advanced scanning equipment to monitor progress and search for injuries they may have missed. Surgeons here say they have developed a particular expertise treating the unique wounds resulting from improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, such as the one that injured Bob and Doug.
We've learned how to treat the diseases, we've learned how to treat the wounds, and we know what to look for, what can potentially go wrong, problem solve, plan ahead.
It is the immediate treatment Bob and Doug received at the field hospital in Balad, Iraq, that was most crucial. Doctors here say unequivocally it saved their lives. Also crucial, they were wearing their body armor. All of us who work closely with them know Bob and Doug take precautions, but also understand the risks of covering a story they believe is extremely important.
We want to see him recover and return to what he loves to do. Maybe not back to Iraq, but certainly I think he'll want to get back to what he's always wanted to do.
Bob and Doug could be flown back to the U.S. as soon as tomorrow. Their doctors will meet with the families first thing tomorrow morning and make the determination then. Elizabeth?
All right, Jim Sciutto in Germany, thanks so much. Immediately after the attack, Bob's first words to his producer, Vinny Malhotra, were, "Am I alive?" As Jim Sciutto reported, the U.S. military hospital in Balad played a major role in keeping Bob alive. It is one of the most sophisticated battlefield hospitals ever created. Here's ABC's Dan Harris.
This is how the routine often begins. A chopper bearing the wounded touches down at the military hospital in Balad.
This is a full-service trauma ER, and we're ready to handle anything that they throw at us.
Many of the injuries are caused by IEDs.
It's hard to move.
Sergeant Chris Chillis, a substitute teacher from California, was in a convoy that got hit by one.
And shrapnel came up through my back and A couple pieces were lodged in and some tore through on my abdomen.
You straighten your hand out like this.
Doctors like Tamara McReynolds treat not only wounded Americans.
Are you sometimes taking care of Iraqis who have fired rocket-propelled grenades at our troops?
Yes. Actually, over half of our ward are Iraqi POWs. You know, it's a difficult situation to be in, but as a physician, we take a Hippocratic oath, and it's our job to take care of people.
Cameraman Doug Vogt shot these pictures of the hospital where he would later be treated.
You're doing real well.
It is a high-tech facility, but it's still in a war zone. They take mortar fire here nearly every day.
And so the whole objective is to get them obviously stabilized and then basically move them out as fast as possible.
Sick and injured soldiers are loaded onto a cargo plane for the 5-hour flight to Landstuhl.
Everybody all right?
The severely injured are outfitted with a mobile intensive care unit that has a ventilator and a heart monitor.
This is probably the most rewarding thing that we could possibly do. This is getting the guys out who need to get out and get them back home.
As Chris Chillis, the man wounded by an IED, clutches his new Purple Heart, the plane touches down. The medical team offloads the wounded. Hours later, they will be back in Balad, doing it all over again. Dan Harris, ABC News.
These IEDs, improvised explosive devices, are crude but lethal. They are the single greatest cause of death among U.S. soldiers in Iraq. Last year, insurgents set off more than 10,000 of these homemade bombs and 221 just last week alone. And as ABC's Jonathan Karl reports, ending roadside bombings is now a primary mission of the American military.
Today in Lafayette, Indiana, friends and family are remembering 23-year-old specialist Matthew Franz. He was killed when a roadside bomb blew up his Humvee in Iraq.
There's no doubt it's clearly the most dangerous threat that our soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen face in theater.
Over the past 6 months, IEDs have been responsible for 64% of combat deaths in Iraq and nearly 80% of injuries. Corporal Andrew Ingram was hit by an IED 2 weeks ago. His leg shattered, shrapnel in his side.
We know they're out there. We know that, we just try our best to find them before they detonate on us.
To counter the threat, the Pentagon created a $3.5 billion IED task force. At Fort Irwin, Iraq-bound troops learn how insurgents build and hide IEDs and how to react when they go off. Insurgents have grown increasingly creative, hiding IEDs in garbage, potholes, and fake concrete blocks. They use cell phones, walkie-talkies, and even children's toys to set them off. The military has developed high-tech tools, from small robots to a massive new minesweeper called the Buffalo to try to clear away IEDs. But the task force's most important work is forensic investigation, piecing together bomb fragments, searching for clues about who is making them.
We'll achieve greater success when we deal with the entire process, the entire system, and you're dealing with the bomber, so to speak, not just the technology. Chop the head off of the snake, and that's what this is all about.
IEDs are so common, the only way to eliminate the problem is to eliminate the people making them. As one senior military official told me, this is really about defeating the insurgency itself. Jonathan Karl, ABC News, the Pentagon.
There is news tonight about another journalist in Iraq, the kidnapped Christian Science Monitor reporter Jill Carroll. Al Jazeera television broadcast new video of Carroll today. It is difficult to hear what she is saying, but she is clearly crying. The Arab news channel reported that she appealed for the release of all Iraqi women being held by U.S. and Iraqi authorities. There was no mistaking the words on another videotape played on Al Jazeera today, this one from Al-Qaeda's #2 man, Ayman al-Zawahiri. This is the first time he has spoken out since the U.S. targeted him in an attack earlier this month, and ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross is here with details on this tape.
That's right, Elizabeth. U.S. authorities say the tape is authentic, featuring a feisty, at times angry Zawahiri. In a strident tone, Zawahiri said God would determine when he died, not President Bush. If my time has not come, he said, then you and all the forces on earth, all human beings, cannot advance my fate by 1 second. Zawahiri referred extensively to the January 13th U.S. airstrike in Pakistan that was meant for him, but killed at least a dozen civilians and 4 of his closest deputies. My first message is to the butcher of Washington, Bush, he said. Not only are you defeated, you're a liar and a failure.
This is one of the angriest tapes by Ayman Zawahiri. He was either being hurt by the American airstrike or he is trying to score a major propaganda coup against the Americans.
Bush. In a direct taunt to President Bush, Zawahiri says, Bush, do you know where I am? I am amidst the Muslim masses, enjoying their support, their care, their generosity, their protection.
The entire tape is to taunt President Bush and to taunt the United States that despite all of our efforts for over 4 years, he and bin Laden are still alive.
As further evidence of how recently the tape was made, Zawahiri also refers to the January 19th audio tape from Osama bin Laden, threatening a new attack on the U.S. and offering a truce. Your leaders responded by saying they don't negotiate with terrorists, says Zawahiri. I tell them, you liars, you greedy war merchants.
I think this type of frustration and venting that you hear from them is an indicator of the success we're having against them.
The FBI says it's asked its field offices to review all tips and cases because of the tape in light of two big events coming up this week, Elizabeth. The State of the Union address tomorrow and the Super Bowl this coming weekend.
Keeping a close eye on both events, I'm sure. Brian Ross, thank you. When World News Tonight continues, 4 years after the Enron scandal, the company's top officials finally go on trial. We'll take a closer look. A secret underground world, our reporter explores the high-tech tunnel that was a major getaway for illegal immigrants and drugs. And your comforting words from all over the world. They mean so much.
This is World News Tonight, brought to you by Platix.
In Houston today, a jury was picked to try the men charged in one of the biggest corporate crime plots in history. Enron's former chairman Kenneth Lay and CEO Jeffrey Skilling face a combined 38 counts, including conspiracy and stock fraud. They are accused of pumping profits while hiding billions of dollars in debt. 11,000 workers were laid off, retirement funds were wiped out, and investors lost $68 billion when the energy firm finally imploded. ABC's Mike Von Fremd begins our closer look.
Both the founder and former CEO of Enron walked the gauntlet of cameras today, accused of conspiracy in the biggest corporate scandal in American history.
Is this a chance to clear your name? Certainly is.
The government contends Kenneth Lay and Jeffrey Skilling intentionally misled Wall Street about the health of their company and dumped millions of shares of their own stock even as Enron was unraveling. Dale Roberts lost his job when Enron went bankrupt.
Our house went into foreclosure. I mean, we had nothing. We didn't even have food at times.
The couple's life savings of $50,000 invested in Enron stock evaporated.
I think they ought to be in lockup somewhere. Everything they own ought to be took from them.
While many clearly blame Skilling and Lay for running Enron into the ground, convincing a jury they are criminally responsible will be difficult. The two have spent more than $38 million preparing a defense strategy, and tonight say they are pleased with the jury that's been selected.
My fate and Mr. Skilling's fate is in their hands, and we're going to get on with making the case that, in fact, we're innocent. Or certainly not guilty, and we think we're innocent.
When the jury of Houston residents was selected, the judge acknowledged that many of them may be angry, but made clear he wants people who are seeking justice, not revenge. Mike Von Fremd, ABC News, Houston.
Well, Diana Peters' life has been shattered. She worked at Enron for 10 years. Her husband has been battling cancer, and she's now holding down 3 jobs to get by. She says she has waited a long time for this trial.
I made $40,000 a year, and I don't make that now. And I have no health insurance, no pension, no 401k, no paid vacation, no sick leave. My son and I started cleaning office buildings on the weekends. I did take a daytime job, and I'm working days now, working a help desk. I just recently started answering the phone for one of the home shopping centers from TV. Truthfully, all 3 of those things, I still don't make what I made at Enron, and I didn't make that much. I hope I get to pay the mortgage payment next week. I do want to try to go a couple of days during the trial, if I can get off. The one day I am going to go is when they sentence him.
Former Enron employee Diana Peters in the first person. And when we return, going underground inside a sophisticated border tunnel built as a drug smuggling passageway. There were more head-turning numbers from the oil industry today. ExxonMobil said it earned more than $10 billion in the last quarter of 2005, a record for any U.S. company. For the year, profits hit $36 billion, another record, the result of high oil and gas prices. In San Diego today, U.S. officials charged a Mexican man with drug smuggling through the longest tunnel ever found along the U.S.-Mexican border. It is a remarkable facility, as ABC's Miguel Marquez learned when customs officials gave him a tour today.
This is the opening to the tunnel.
The tunnel surfaces in a nondescript office about a half-mile into the U.S. A secret door, a trap door, allowed an all-access pass to and from Mexico.
It actually does remind me a lot of being on roller coasters as a kid and coming out of the dark tunnel. If you're claustrophobic, this isn't a good place to be, obviously.
The piping you see was used to ventilate the tunnel. Electric lighting, powered from the Mexican side, runs the entire length. And a system that used to keep water out has stopped working. So the tunnel has partially flooded.
Right up here is where the office is. The floors almost look like they've been cemented in. The walls have been chiseled by hand for 8 football fields in length.
Officials say the tunnel was in operation since last November, and they believe it took a drug cartel about 2 years to dig it by hand through hardened clay and sandstone.
It's certainly one that has some sophistication, a lot of money, and the ability to sustain an operation like this. So it's got to be a major cartel, very organized.
2 tons of marijuana were found in the tunnel, and 1 man has been arrested. Court documents reveal he was a worker in the warehouse run by a company called V&F Distributors, which is under investigation.
Whenever we find a tunnel, certainly for the Department of Homeland Security, that's a vulnerability in terms of narcotics, in terms of people, in terms of potentially a weapon that could be brought into the country.
And once the investigation is complete, officials say the enormous tunnel will be filled with concrete. Miguel Marquez, ABC News, San Diego, California.
The playwright and author Wendy Wasserstein died today after a battle with cancer. Wasserstein's best-known play, The Heidi Chronicles, won a Tony Award at a Pulitzer Prize and became a TV movie. Like most of her writing, it portrayed a woman dealing with career, love, and motherhood in the age of feminism. Wasserstein herself gave birth to her only child at the age of 48. Wendy Wasserstein was 55. When we come back, words of comfort, your messages to our colleagues at a difficult time. Finally tonight, a colleague said today that for soldiers and in some cases journalists, you can define courage as fear that has said its prayers, by which he meant knowing that an assignment is dangerous, coming to grips with it, getting on with the job. Many of us here have worked a long time with Bob Woodruff and Doug Vogt. We have gotten an enormous amount of comfort from the extraordinary outpouring of messages from you. Here are some of them.
The outpouring has come from all over the world. What shocking news. I have the greatest respect for Bob and his crew as journalists. A prayer from South Korea. I watch Bob every day and it feels as though a family member has been injured. Being a neurosurgeon reservist, I spent 3 months at Landstuhl treating our war wounded. I can attest that Bob and Doug are receiving the finest care this country has to offer. This woman's husband was part of a military escort for Bob and Doug just yesterday morning. My husband said he was dedicated to his job and was determined to show exactly what life is like there for the soldiers. I pray for him and Doug Vogt and for their families. I know their fear, knowing a loved one is in Iraq and the danger that persists in the country. This is my husband's second tour, and the fear never goes away. Many people expressed an appreciation of the risks that journalists take in war zones. My little brother is in the Army, currently serving in Iraq. If it were not for the journalists who are brave enough to travel to Iraq, the real stories in that region would never make it back to our televisions. Both men were doing what they loved, which also happens to be their jobs. How many of us can say that? There were countless prayers for Bob and Doug. To Mr. Woodruff and Mr. Vogt and their families, I send my favorite prayer. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
And you can read more of these passages and post your own thoughts at wnt.abcnews.com. We'll be in Washington tomorrow for the President's State of the Union address. That's World News Tonight. For Bob Woodruff and all of us at ABC News, good night.